Hey guys, so welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Let's carry on where we left off. Egret Benedict is out of the frying pan and into the fire, revealing himself as Ashley Graydon. It's time he took the stand. We're about to press him on some more statements regarding his connection to Windibanks. I suppose we were just going in order because I didn't really find a suitable statement to press. Plus, I take offense to him calling Gina a filthy gutterling, so let's go ahead. So you're saying that Miss Lestrade lifted the ticket from your pocket or bag? That's right. Despite being mindful of danger when walking in the insalubrious areas her kind frequent.
Protection.
Insalubrious, oh my god. I swear my vocabulary is rapidly expanding when I play this game. Miss Lestrade did no such thing. Well, of course you would take that stance, but the girl is a regular offender. You came to the pawnbrokery that day prepared with all the information you needed to identify the defendant. Ooh, that's right, he did. He had details of her appearance written down, didn't he? Who gave him that information, I wonder? You were looking for her. That's what brought you to Windibanks. And how do they know about her and what she had done with McGilded's stuff? Unless McGilded's still alive somewhere and someone else got burned up. I'm still maintaining it was Beppo because he was a terrible carriage driver. And juror number, I think it was 5 at the time, was really upset that he'd let down the union. To get your hands on Mr. McGilded's desk.
Objection!
My learned friend is a veritable font of nonsense. Nonsense? Veritable? I concur with the prosecution. Wait, what? No, you can't just agree with him on that. Counsel, you will refrain from conjecturing in this way. Is that clear? Yes, my lord. Like a naughty schoolboy. Then I will continue with my testimony for what possible use it can be. I'm sure it's going to be very useful. I just need to find the chink in your armor. I proceeded once to the shop in order to explain my situation and redeem my article.
Hold it!
Hold it. Every sentence. Hold it. Had you ever been to Windibanks before? Only once for the purposes of pawning something. But like many, I enjoy browsing in such establishments. So when you noticed the pickpocket had taken your ticket, you chased after her. Is that correct? Yes, that's right. I didn't notice at first, of course, such as the art of the pick purse. But when I did, I headed to the pawnbrokery at once, in order to reclaim my coat before the thief could. Why didn't you just reclaim it straight away in the first place? Why did it take it having been stolen from you to go claim it? I mean, obviously, you know, it's at stake, so I guess he had to collect it early, but still. I was merely trying to recover what was rightfully mine in the first place. The damn thing doesn't even fit you, it was tearing at the seams. Ugh. He can say what he likes because he knows we have no evidence to contradict him on this. Again, we can ask him to put it on. Surely, his big, tall body is unable to bear it. In the end, of course, the disc was taken by the police.
Hold it!
That it was. Yes, it was taken by Inspector Gregson here, wasn't it? That's right. This was the very man. Apparently, the police are collecting anything that has a connection to Mr. McGilded.
Is that right?
As evidence. Is that right?
Excuse me.
Inspector Gregson, please elaborate. Is something wrong, Inspector? Did you just tuck your fries in your hat? Well, what do you mean? The last remark Mr. Graydon made in his testimony seemed to trouble you in some way. In fact, I managed to write it down. I'm basically my own stenographer at this point. I've got it written down on this paper here. No, it didn't. It's nothing. Leave me alone. Well, leave it alone. And me alone as well while you're at it. Let me ask you this, Inspector. Why is Scotland Yard gathering Mr. McGilded's possessions? Did he not pay his taxes? I can't tell you something like that, Sunshine. What is it, Inspector? Investigative secrets? Yes, exactly. You should know all about that. Magnus McGilded, who died so unexpectedly after his trial 2 months ago. A man renowned throughout the capital for his great contributions to public life. Yet he had a dark side too. He was a loan shark. A dangerous one at that. Where you go with this, Van Zieks? It's Lord Van Zieks, thank you. I suppose the police are dealing with the aftermath of his nefarious activities, are they? But that's enough. Coppers like me have duties to carry out that we're not at liberty to talk about. That's all you need to know. Duties conferred by Lord Strongheart, I presume. The Lord Chief Justice appears to have great faith in you, Inspector. Well, the bottom line is, if you want to get more out of me, you're gonna need Lord Strongheart's paw print first. What? He's got a dog? What's all this about? Paw print? Seriously? Did he mean signature? Is his English bad? It's like there's something going on between Gregson and Lord Van Zeeks here. There's certainly a disconnect, ever since he presented the music box disc when he was told explicitly he shouldn't. By Gregson, no less. Well, it would appear that the Inspector has revealed all he is at liberty to reveal. Mr. Graydon, let us return to your testimony. Gladly, my lord. He does want tea time. In other words, I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night.
Hold it!
We might need to go back to another statement, possibly, now that we've pressed Inspector Gregson, but perhaps you'd seen something of value among the forfeited items. No, not at all. Oh, okay. Fair enough. A valuer was brought in by the police to assess everything in the shop. Without exception, every article on the shelves was common or garden bric-a-brac. Well, yeah, the stuff that was left there, what if they took something expensive and ran off with it? You obviously can't catalog and value it, can you? In that case, it's clear that you broke into the shop later that day in order to recover Mr. McGilded's disc. Have you not been listening, man? Even if I had wanted to recover the disc, you may recall that it had been seized by the police that afternoon. It was no more in the shop that night than I. As I keep saying, I simply had no reason to break in. So there was nothing of McGilded's left in the shop that night. Nothing this man might have been after. I wonder if that's really true. I swear, it's gotta be something to do with the manuscript. I wonder. Reno, if you have some evidence, then let him have it. Time to see that irritatingly assured expression of his crumble. Yeah, if I had evidence. McGilded slipped the disc into his coat pocket and had it deposited at Windibanks. Then, when he realized he was going to be arrested on suspicion of the omnibus murder, he threatened Gina and forced her to take the redemption ticket. There's no doubt about it. That witness is lying through his pearly white teeth. The police were obviously after anything left behind by McGilded as well. That's why Inspector Gregson ended up taking the disc into custody that day. But Gregsy's been very strange about all this. There must be a reason for that, I'm sure. I just don't know what it is. For now, I need to focus on exposing the fact that Mr. Graydon is lying in his testimony. Okay, well, maybe I do have evidence. I just need to figure out what it is. The redemption ticket, perhaps? Okay, we do have the pawnbroker's ticket here, though I am skeptical presenting it, because the only thing I've got is the blood on it being identified as Mr. Mason's. We already established that our little science experiment where Gina poofs it in a cloud of smoke to reveal a color isn't accepted by our great Lord Santa Claus over there, so I don't know. Let's present and see.
Objection.
Nope, it's not. Fantastic. That reveals a damning inconsistency. That last statement. I like how my eyes are so wide and shaky. I'm clearly not confident in what I'm presenting. Damning, you say? As I look at you, Counsel, I see your trembling hand, your pallid expression, and your perspiring brow. Huh? You can see all of that? It seems to me that that is the damning inconsistency here, with the misplaced confidence of your assertion. Back down to 4. Ugh, he has a damning tongue. Maybe I'll need to present it then. You invite it, sir. Alright, Ryunosuke has given us a clue that Ashley Graydon is lying somewhere in his testimony, which is a given, considering he even lied about the fact that he had his redemption ticket stolen from him. I'm thinking this is the statement we need to present evidence for. It just screams, present something, you know? I had absolutely no reason to break into the shop later that same night. He had to have. But why? It's not because of the disc, because we've already established that the police confiscated it. We do have another redemption ticket here to do with a box. Unfortunately, I can't quite remember what it was about. Let's take a quick look. 13th of February, 9 p.m. One small box, 10 shillings. 13th of April, 9 p.m. So the item should have been redeemed by that point. If it hadn't, it would be out in front, right? Because it wasn't claimed. So why didn't Graydon just stroll in on the 14th when the pawnbroker opened and purchased it? Mr. Winterback appears to have used the back of this photograph to write out a redemption ticket. He's written it very neatly, but still, perhaps he ran out of paper, so had to use anything he had to hand. It's hard to know what's the front and what's the reverse side now. One small box. Unfortunately, this is what happens when you can't play for a week because of sickness. I don't think he was after the manuscript. It's obvious he's after something related to McGilded, if he was after the disc. I'm gonna present this. I mean, you know, we can present to our heart's content at least until we got one penalty, and then we'll start save scumming as we, as people normally do during Ace Attorney games.
Objection!
Okay, good. No need to save scum just yet. This disc was deposited at Winterbank's on Magnus McGilded's instructions. You knew that, and you went there with the intention of obtaining it for yourself.
Objection!
Here we go. Conjecture again. And in any case, the disc was taken into custody by the police that afternoon. Yes, well, I know for a fact he was after that disc. Because he was willing to injure himself to keep it by evidence of the blood smearing on the disc. The witness had no reason to visit the pawnbrokery again that night.
Objection!
Nuh-uh-uh. Sorry, my learned friend. But that's not true. What? Mr. McGilded had another article in pawn at Winterbank's. As this second pawnbroker's ticket proves. I promise you, I did not scribble it just now. Yeah. There were two articles belonging to Mr. McGilded and Winterbank's pawnbrokery. And the reason you broke into the shop that night was to recover the second one. Together with your two accomplices, the Skulkin brothers. Ah! This is the second ticket, is it? What had the man deposited? The article description reads, one small box. A rather vague description, it seems to me. Are you suggesting that I broke into the pawnbroker with these clowns in order to steal some trinket box? I believe there are adequate grounds to suspect that you did. This is absurd! Why on earth would I do such a thing? Once the article had been forfeited, I could simply walk into the shop and purchase it. That's what I said. Why didn't you do that? Was it too expensive? There would be absolutely no need for me to resort to theft. That's a good point. Indeed. The witness makes a solid argument. Yeah, but my triumphant music is still playing in the background, so I'm clearly onto something. So that means for some reason, this Graydon fellow needed the small box that very night, does it?
Objection!
It's time to put an end to this nonsense, my lord. Could you be a little less cryptic, Lord Van Zeeks? What do you mean put an end to this nonsense? Do you mean to just end the cross-examination? I do hate to ruin my learned friend's argument, but the truth is quite incontrovertible. On the night in question, no small box was taken from Winterbank's pawnbrokery. How do you know? You didn't even catch Graydon. For all you know, he pocketed it and strolled out the street while freaking the Skulkin brothers were running a distraction and got themselves caught. And rest assured, the prosecution can prove it. Oh, you can prove that something wasn't taken. Wow. Okay. Hit me. What? Good gracious. Inspector, show the photographic prints to the court, if you please. Yes, sir. Yes, they collected all of them. What prints? And if we can see that all the items are consistently where they are. But, maybe this is where the stereoscope will come in again. We'll see if anything was just basically tampered with ever so slightly. These prints were taken from one of the detective's security cameras. Hurley's red-handed recorders again. So they can use that, but we can't use our big blood identifier cloud of pink smoke. As previously explained, using this plan of the shop layout, the victim's establishment was furnished with automatic cameras in two locations. One was set to capture the counter where Mr. Winterbank received his customers, and the other was set to capture the shelves on which the articles were placed for sale once forfeited. What are the information on this ticket? The gilded small box had been forfeited already. 2 days before the incident at 9 PM on 13th April. To be precise, that it is. Which means it would have to have been on the shelves of the forfeited items on the shop in the shop front. Now, what I have here is a print taken by one of the cameras about 2 hours before the incident. That's at 11 PM on 15th of April. Okay. This victim certainly had a very full shop, it would appear. Alright, let's take a look at all these boxes. Telling you, we're gonna need to use our stereoscope for this. And then here we have another print. This one was taken about 2 hours after the incident. I see. So we have 2 pictures to compare. I'm not gonna bother crossing my eyes any further. Because I just cannot do it. I'm incapable. Though I must say that placing them side by side leaves me cold. It does? Dear me, that's starting to make my head ache. Obviously, at Scotland Yard, we considered theft as one possible motive in this case. We explored the possibility that something had been taken in addition to the victim's life. So your men have already compared these 2 prints thoroughly, Inspector? Yes, sir. Have you now? Thoroughly. We counted every single item in each of these 2 photographic prints. And the odds conclusion is that exactly the same number are present in both. In other words, nothing was taken from the pawnbrokery on the night in question. And my learned friend's assertion is nothing more than a hopeful fantasy. Ah! Damn it! I don't believe it. If I could have just shown that he'd stolen McGilden's pawn box. Oh, don't boogie. I might have been able to break him down at last.
You know what, Rene? I've been thinking.
You've been thinking? Thinking what? Are you thinking what I'm thinking, B1?
I wonder if these 2 photographs are really exactly the same.
What? I'm gonna play dumb, just so you feel smart, Iris. So, counsel, in the light of the evidence put forward by the prosecution, what is your position? I would like to insert it into this fancy box, please. It seems that in fact on the night in question nothing was stolen from the victim's establishment. Do you accept the prosecution's assertion? I don't know. Could there be some hidden discrepancy in these 2 photographic prints somewhere? Use a piece of evidence. Before I give my answer, my lord, I'd like to try something, if I may. Try something? What do you mean, counsel? Are you doing your black magic again? I'll need to use a certain piece of evidence from the court record to identify the discrepancy. Because I can't cross my eyes well enough, I'm afraid. I'm not entirely sure I follow. Which piece of evidence do you intend to use to help you identify a discrepancy between the 2 prints? It's not exactly a piece of evidence, mind you. It's just, I have to call it that because it's in the court record.
Take that!
The stereoscope. I'd like to use this device, my lord, to view the 2 prints stereoscopically. Oh, he's geeking out. Yes, you've caught the bug at last. Oh, you can't resist it, can you? I think he's about to leak. You've got the cross-eyed compulsion. Juror number 3, what a surprise.
Come on, Rene. Let's put the pictures in place and see what this wonderful contraption shows us. There we go. Now look through the eyepiece.
Oh, we've got a box that has been tampered with. They obviously didn't need to take the box itself, just whatever was inside, right? I wasn't sure at first, but there's a clear discrepancy between these 2 prints. What? You must identify the location in question for the court, counsel. Don't tell me I have to literally point it out. Indicate the precise location of the discrepancy of which you speak. Oh, it's clearly the timestamp at the top, my lord. No, it's this glowing thing that's basically bathed in holy light. Granted, these 2 prints are almost identical. However, there is one minor discrepancy between them. What? I mean, obviously, I know I need to point it out because I can see in the stereoscope, but these guys cannot. When you view the 2 pictures stereoscopically. Stereoscopically? Stereoscopically. Ta-da! A single area stands out as being different. The location of this small box. Let me wait. Unbelievable. Unbelievable indeed. By Jove, you're right. How extraordinary. Yeah, are you dancing now, Graydon? Dancing in your grave? What this tells us is very simple. Mr. McGilden's small box was indeed not stolen from Windibags on the night in question. However, there can be no doubt that somebody picked up this particular box and then returned it to its place on the shelves. Are you suggesting that the small box originally deposited by Mr. McGilden is in fact... Yes, the very same small box I just identified in these photographic prints.
Objection!
Mindless guesswork. What if it was? So a box was moved on the shelf. Nothing was stolen. Which means, quite simply, that nothing has changed. You know what a box is, right? It usually contains something, Lord Van Zeeks. That may be true, but I was too busy acting a stutter that I ended up falling into a stutter. Alright, Mr. McGilden's box wasn't stolen then. But doesn't the fact that it was moved like that change things? It changes everything. I believe this changes everything about the case. Literally everything. I have to be very dramatic if I'm going to win the jury on my side. Everything about this case is to be flipped on its head because this box moved a tiny inch. How could that possibly be? The crucial point is the fact that what was moved was a small box. In other words, we have to consider what might have been inside that box. What are you suggesting? Well, I'm suggesting that we need to examine that box as soon as possible. A vital piece of evidence is sitting on the shelves at Windibags as we speak,
Objection!
and someone might just purchase it. That won't be necessary. Some little box belonging to a man who died 2 months ago can't possibly be relevant to this trial. The court does not uphold your objection, Lord Van Zeeks. Oh, give him a penalty, Judge. Bailiff, arrange for an officer to go to Baker Street at once. Obtain the small box in question and bring it back here for further examination. Yes. Let's all look at the box. We're gonna hit recess? Whew. It's a showdown. And Graydon is not exactly happy. No longer boogieing, that's for sure. We should have a report within half an hour. I think perhaps we should recess for a short while until the evidence is brought forth. Good, I can finally eat because I missed out last time. To be hoodwinked by such a farce. Disappointing. I beg your pardon, Lord Van Zeeks. Are you calling me disappointing? You sack of shit. No, sorry. This is nothing but a smoke screen. A Nipponese specialty, it would seem. I'm not a ninja, okay? The only smoke screen that occurred in this court was earlier when I had to spray the cloud on the McGilden disc. What are you trying to say? My learned friend has persisted with the same line of reasoning from the very beginning. Well, you persisted with the same line of my learned friend here, my learned friend there, and then when I stole it, you got upset. That this witness's intent was to steal an article belonging to Mr. McGilden from the pawnbrokery. Yet common sense tells us that none of the articles have value enough to be worth stealing in the first place. Yeah, one man's trash is another man's treasure, you know that, right? Exactly. It would be beyond absurd to break into a place for the purpose of stealing such commonplace property. I guess you don't want to recess just because you could pour your own drink during the trial. In your hallowed chalice. If your lordship recalls, Mr. McGilden perished 2 months ago, immediately after the conclusion of his trial. A trial in which he was found not guilty. A trial in which it was established he was the upstanding member of society his reputation implied, in fact. That is dripping with sarcasm. So I propose a toast to my learned friend and his most insightful defense. The articles this upstanding member of society poured were entirely ordinary. A black overcoat that just happened to have a music box disc in one of its pockets, and a small box. I assure you I wouldn't accept even if the man tried to make a gift of such things to me. Sorry. I lost it for a sec.
You know, that does make a rather lot of sense.
It's not as if it was gold or jewels, is it? Though goodness knows Mr. McGilden was rich enough.
You can't deposit cash to pawnbrokery, I'm quite sure of that.
The prosecution's argument is undeniably compelling. It is an incumbent on the defense now to bolster its argument. To explain what possible significance these commonplace articles pawned by this fine citizen could have. Well, Consul, is your argument in fact demonstrable? Are you able to show proof that the disc or the box are in any tangible way related to this case? Well,
What's the matter, Rene? We know that they're related, don't we? They're both vital pieces of evidence.
just because they're in the court record? Yes, of course. You and I both know that. We know McGilden's true character, and we know the disc is significant, even if we don't know why.
But if we explain all that to the court at this point...
We have to acknowledge that McGilden's acquittal 2 months ago was a mistake. Sorry, I don't know why I slipped into Iris's voice just then. I'm losing it. It's 4:30 in the morning. I'm tired, but I gotta press on because I gotta know. I gotta know what McGilden has to do with this. Is he still alive? I need to know. That the defense's argument was flawed, based on false information.
Oh no.
And that would mean admitting that Gina committed perjury. Again, I say it's definitely a lot more favorable than committing murder.
But Ginny...
Could it be that Van Zieks knows? Is that why he's doing this now? Because he's anticipated everything? Yeah, exactly. He's like, well, he's an upstanding citizen, according to the defense counsel. His words, not mine. I wonder how that came about. Obviously because a fourth witness conveniently turned up.
But maybe... this could be a great opportunity for us.
Sorry? What do you mean, Iris?
Well, what is it that you always say, Rene? Sooner or later, the truth comes out. Every time.
Alright. The exact significance of the things that McGilden deposited with Mr. Windebeck is something that only Gina can explain to the court. But if I put her on the stand to testify about that, it could critically damage our chances of winning this case. Uh-oh. This sounds risky. What's the right thing to do here? Have Gina testify. It'll critically damage our chances of winning the case, but like Ryunosuke's case, the truth will always come out sooner or later. My lord, the defense would like to make a proposal. Oh, what proposal, counsel? While the court awaits the arrival of Mr. McGilden's small box, I would like to call the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade, to the witness stand. The defendant? To what end? It's to do with the various articles deposited at Windebanks by Mr. McGilden, my lord. Miss Lestrade has information relating to them. I believe it would be beneficial for the court to hear what she has to say. Certainly not beneficial for me or my case. It will prove the significance of the articles in question once and for all. Well, well. Things are becoming interesting. Well, that's exactly what he wanted. I presume you've considered the implications of the testimony you're proposing. In particular, the impact it will have on the accused's standing, and indeed your own. I wonder, am I like passing his test here? He's like, well, he's going on he's forging a suicide mission by putting Gina on the stand. He knows she's committed perjury, and yet he's doing it anyway. Is it because, you know, he's being moral here, or is he just being dumb? That was a big head whip, Ryunosuke. It almost fell off. Lord Van Zieks, would you care to explain that last remark? It was quite a cheeky one. The prosecution accepts the defense's proposal. I move to interrupt the cross-examination of the current witness and hear from the accused herself. Very well, if you have no objection. So, the court will now hear the testimony of the defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade. You witnesses currently in the stand may step down until further notice, but don't go anywhere. No tea time for you.
Then I shall bid you good day.
Wait. You, sir, shall remain in the stand while Miss Lestrade testifies. Oh, okay. As you wish. Alright then, Gina. It's time. I know this will be hard, but please, put your faith in me here.
Good luck, Rune.
I'm gonna need it. Okay, we're trying to win the jury's favor here. You don't need to look so, distant already. Your body language tells everything. The articles that Mr. McGilda had deposited in Windibank's pawnbrokery are intimately related with the omnibus case, the trial of which was heard in this courtroom 2 months ago. Yes, and I remember this young lady being brought before me in that trial as well. That's right, my lord. Her testimony helped to establish the innocence of the defendant, Mr. McGilda. For better or worse. The omnibus case was intriguing, to say the least. And now here we all are again. The same players in that trial facing each other once more. A twist of fate, perhaps, my Nipponese friend. Allow me to recap the events of 2 months ago. Hang on, I've got Susato's notes right here. An old brickmaker was stabbed to death in an omnibus running along London's winter streets. Apart from the victim, there was only one other person in the carriage, Mr. McGilda. Naturally, he was the prime suspect for the murder. But as the trial progressed, another possibility emerged. That the murder, in fact, took place above the defendant's head on the roof deck, with the body then being dropped through the skylight into the carriage below. It was Miss Lestrade whose testimony brought that possibility to light. At the time of the incident, Miss Lestrade was concealed under a seat in the carriage, hoping to pick the pockets of unsuspecting passengers. Then, immediately after the trial, having been acquitted of the murder, Mr. McGilda died in this very courtroom, in the most extraordinary of circumstances. Too extraordinary. A mystery that remains unsolved even now, 2 months on. As indeed does the omnibus murder itself. Be that as it may, I recall neither the disc nor this small box being mentioned in the course of those proceedings. Miss Lestrade. It's time. Would you tell the court now, please? What really happened in the omnibus 2 months ago, I mean?
I don't know what you mean.
Come on, Gina, please tell them that you just deposited the items in the pawnbrokery.
I already said all of what I know.
And what about everything you told us yesterday from inside your prison cell?
You promised you wouldn't tell. You narc.
Please, Miss Lestrade, this is extremely important.
But...
Remember, little girl. If it transpires that you willfully withheld information in the trial 2 months ago, the Home Office will seek to prosecute you for perjury. And naturally, you will lose all credibility as a witness. Although, let's face facts. You have little credibility to lose. Jeez. He's not wrong.
Ginny, don't listen to him. Please. You have to trust Runo now. Iris? We're on your side.
Come on. You can do this.
Alright then. I'll talk.
It's the right choice, Gina. Well, it would seem that my learned friend is hell-bent on bringing the entire courtroom down about his ears. So be it. I must confess that I'm struggling to understand what on earth is happening here. However, it would appear that Mr. McGillen's pawn articles in that extraordinary case of the omnibus harbor secrets of which we have been hitherto unaware. So, Miss Lestrade, you will now give your testimony before the court about the events of 2 months ago. You will reveal the truth, a commodity sorely lacking in your original statements. Oof, okay. Harsh. This is it then. Everything's going to come out. Like Van Zeek said. This could bring the whole courtroom down about my ears. But as a lawyer, I'm prepared to take that risk. I have no choice. It's a Hail Mary! The real truth of the omnibus case.
Truth is, that Brickmaker Cove was in the cabin of the omnibus the whole time. When the Irishman dragged me out from under the seat, I saw that disc on the floor. All of a sudden I heard a scream from over me head, and that pair on the roof deck went off to call the slops. That's when McGilden slipped the driver some tin to do a run to the pawn shop roundabout. He threatened me not to snitch, say nothing to no one about what I saw or heard.
Okay. Good grief, this is outrageous! What you've just told the court bears almost no resemblance to your testimony 2 months ago. As you say, my lord. Then there's every chance I may have adjudicated an error in McGillen's trial. It sounds very much to me as if the man deliberately deceived this court, in an effort to cover up the most wicked of schemes. Without doubt, your lordship is correct. A great injustice was done in this courtroom 2 months ago, and I lost because of it, and I'm still salty. The actions of the accused in that trial, of this witness, and of my learned friend are entirely inexcusable. Hey, it wasn't my fault. I thought she was telling the truth. Don't drag me into this.
I don't believe it. The whole trial was a farce, it was all lies.
That McGillen fellow was rotten to the core, just like that pickpocket.
Don't forget that the lawyer from the east. They were all in on it together. You're wrong, the lot of you. Mr. Naruhodo, the lawyer there, he didn't know nothing about it.
Humbug!
I don't think so. Are we really expected to believe that?
You really stitched everyone up, didn't you? What an operation to get the man off scot-free. You're the one who's failing to stitch anyone up, thank you very much.
Unforgivable. Stop. The lies have to stop. Stop.
Courtroom. Next to my ears now. Yes, the defense made a terrible error of judgment. I intend to take full responsibility and suffer whatever consequences are deemed appropriate. However, it's imperative that the court allows the witness to elaborate on her testimony, because the true significance of McGilden's pawned articles must be brought to light. Very well, my learned student friend. What? Given the depths of calamity you have just plunged yourself into, this may well be worth hearing. Words fail me. This situation is utterly deplorable. Mr. Naruhodo! Yes, my lord. I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial. Oh, I bet you're going to be very impressed with me by the time I get Ginny, not guilty verdict. Of course, my lord.
Blimey, Mr. Naruhodo.
Now, counsel, proceed with the cross-examination. Alright, but, man, I'm under heavy scrutiny. I'm in deep shit.